In 1898, two lions stopped a construction project that was building a railway bridge across the Tsavo River in Kenya. Not by accident, not because workers stumbled into their territory, the lions began systematically entering the workers' camp at night, selecting individual men and dragging them away to be eaten. Over 9 months, they killed somewhere between 35 and 135 men, depending on which historical account you trust. The project foreman, a British Army officer named John Henry Patterson, eventually shot both lions after months of failed attempts. Lions were large, male, maneless, and according to analysis conducted over a century later by researchers at the Field Museum in Chicago, had been eating humans long enough and consistently enough. It had become their primary food source. They were not opportunistic. They were not desperate. They had learned that humans were prey, and they were hunting them deliberately, strategically, and with increasing efficiency. They were getting better at it. The question is whether this was a unique historical anomaly, or whether it reveals something much older and much more uncomfortable about the relationship between humans and the predators that shared the planet with them for hundreds of thousands of years. The honest answer is that for most of human prehistory, we were not at the top of the food chain. We were in the middle of it. Paleoanthropologists examining hominid fossils from sites across Africa found something that does not appear in any popular account of human evolution. Evidence of predation. Skulls with puncture marks consistent with large cat bites. Bones with the gnaw patterns of hyenas. A famous Australopithecus africanus skull discovered at Taung in South Africa in 1924. The Taung child has been re-examined multiple times. The most recent analysis strongly suggests the child was killed by a large raptor, probably an eagle, snatched it from the ground or from a tree, carried it away and consumed it. Our ancestors were being hunted from above, below, and every direction in between. Researchers studying the predator pressure on early hominids estimate that large carnivores represented a constant, significant mortality source for early human populations for at least 2 million years. The landscape that early Homo sapiens emerged into was not empty savanna waiting to be explored. It was occupied by cave lions, saber-toothed cats, giant hyenas, short-faced bears, multiple species of large predators, several of which were almost certainly targeting human ancestors as a regular food source. This is not speculation. The evidence is in the bones. A site in Spain called Atapuerca contains the fossil remains of early Homo species, going back almost 1 million years. Analysis of the bones found at the site shows a recurring pattern. Hominid remains are mixed with the remains of other prey animals and show similar processing marks to those other animals. Not from stone tools, from carnivore teeth. These early humans were being carried to a den site, consumed, and their bones were discarded alongside the bones of deer and horses. They were prey. Ordinary prey, indistinguishable in the archaeological record from any other medium-sized mammal, being processed by a large predator. Cave lion alone deserves particular attention because it is the predator most likely to have had the longest and most sustained predatory relationship with human ancestors. Cave lions were roughly 25% larger than modern African lions. They were adapted to the cold of the Pleistocene. They ranged across Europe, Asia, and into the Americas, and they coexisted with modern Homo sapiens at least 15,000 years before going extinct. Rock art from the period, including some of the oldest known human artwork, found at Chauvet Cave in France, dated to around 36,000 years ago, depicts cave lions in detail, suggesting prolonged observation, not reverence, familiarity, the kind that comes from spending a very long time watching an animal that is also watching you. But here is where the history becomes genuinely complex. The predator-prey relationship between early humans and large carnivores is not one-directional. Evidence suggests that early humans fought back, competed directly with apex predators for carcasses, and eventually drove most of the large Pleistocene megafauna to extinction. The shift from prey to competitor to apex predator did not happen in a moment. It happened over hundreds of thousands of years, and the archaeological record suggests it was violent, ongoing, and mutual. Early humans hunting large predators hunting early humans, both species learning from each encounter and adapting accordingly. Tsavo lions fit into this framework in a way that most accounts miss entirely. When Patterson's research team analyzed the lion's bones and teeth a century later, found evidence of severe dental disease in both animals. Broken teeth, abscessed roots, conditions that would have made hunting their normal prey of buffalo and wildebeest extraordinarily painful. Humans, by comparison, were softer, slower, and grouped in a camp where they were predictably located every night. The lions had not chosen humans because humans humans were their natural prey. They had discovered that humans were, under specific conditions, easier prey than the alternatives. And this is the distinction that matters most when trying to understand whether animals hunt humans on purpose. The answer is yes. But the conditions that produce deliberate, sustained, strategic human predation are almost always the same. Predator that has been exposed to humans frequently enough to lose its instinctive wariness, access to humans in a situation where they are unusually vulnerable, and the learned experience of at least one successful hunt that established humans as a viable prey category in that individual animal's behavior. It is learned behavior, just as the Tsavo lions learned it. Individual tigers in the Sundarbans region of India and Bangladesh have been doing the same thing for at least several centuries. The Sundarbans is home to the highest density of Bengal tigers on Earth, and also one of the longest documented histories of man-eating tiger attacks. Researchers studying the Sundarbans tigers found something unexpected. The attacks were not random. They clustered around specific individual tigers. Histories of successful human predation. A tiger that had successfully killed a human once was dramatically more likely to hunt humans again. First successful kill reduced the psychological barrier. It established humans as prey in that individual tiger's mental model. After that, the behavior could become habitual. The question is not whether animals are capable of hunting humans on purpose. Clearly they are. The question is what changed. Because something did change. Same species of predators that were systematically hunting our ancestors 2 million years ago are now retreating from human presence almost universally. Modern lions avoid humans in almost all circumstances. Modern tigers do not attack humans with anything close to the frequency they once did. In regions of high human density, modern wolves, who were responsible for documented waves of lethal attacks on humans in medieval Europe, have essentially stopped. Changed is not the animals. What changed is the human response. Somewhere in the last 10 to 20,000 years, human population density increased and hunting technology improved. The cost of attacking a human group went from manageable to catastrophic for any predator. A lone Pleistocene cave lion attacking a small group of early humans with wooden spears faced real but survivable risk. A modern lion attacking a village faces a coordinated, armed, motorized response that reliably ends in the lion's death. The calculus changed. Predators who are not stupid updated accordingly, but the instinct is still there. In every documented case of a large predator that has crossed the line from avoiding humans to actively hunting them, the behavioral sequence is the same. First exposure without negative consequence, then a successful attack, then repetition and refinement. Tsavo lions, the Sundarbans tigers, the man-eating leopards of colonial India, documented by Jim Corbett. Every one of them followed the same pattern. Every one of them had learned something that evolution had spent thousands of years trying to teach their species to unlearn. Humans are prey, that they are soft and slow and predictably located, and that under the right circumstances, they are the easiest hunt in the landscape. Your ancestors knew this. They built fires not just for warmth, because large predators almost universally avoid fire. They slept in groups not just for social comfort, but because a solitary, sleeping human is exactly the target profile that predators who learned to hunt humans were selecting for. The spear was not invented to hunt food. The spear was invented to fight back, and for 2 million years, it had to be used in both directions. Man-eating lions of Tsavo were shot in 1898, and their skins were used as floor rugs for 25 years, before Patterson sold them to the Field Museum. They are still there, still on display. Two lions who learned something most of their species had forgotten or been forced to unlearn over thousands of years of contact with a prey species that turned out to be much more dangerous than it first appeared.